Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Fox and I like video games, and today I am back with yet another Sims 4 speed building video, and today it is part 2 of my Mediterranean mansion. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you do go check out part 1. I will link that one for you. That one focuses on the exterior and all of the landscaping that you can see in this build, and today's video focuses on the interior, all of the furnishings. So as you can see, I am going around and adding some paint to all of the walls. If you did watch the part 1, you will notice that the floor plan did change probably quite a lot. So the reason for that is because I wanted to add more bathrooms, I wanted to add more bedrooms. I wasn't happy with the first floor plan, so I spent a little bit more time off camera and really focused on getting the floor plan right. So there are now 5 bathrooms or 4.5 bathrooms in this build, and there are 4 bedrooms upstairs and 1 bedroom downstairs. So starting off, we are in the kitchen. I'm really happy with how this kitchen turned out. I used colors that I have not used probably ever before, so you'll see that I used the Jungle Adventure counters with the yellow top, and I used the matching cabinets in the brown swatch as well. So I also do use these shelves from Jungle Adventure and merge them together, and I think they look really nice here. I used a lot of Cottage Living. The stovetop, I believe, is from Cottage Living in the yellow. I'm really happy with how the yellow turned out. I don't often use these counters in this swatch because of the yellow, and I don't know, I really like it. I've never used it before, so really happy with how it turned out. Off camera, you'll see that I did go ahead and pull out a whole bunch of clutter. The reason why I do that off camera is because I spend so long pulling out items and going through debug and going back and forth through the same catalog over and over again, because I tend to miss things, and I just don't think that nobody would want to sit through all of that. So that's why I do that off camera. But as you'll see, I'm just using a lot of that clutter to clutter up these shelves. I wanted this kitchen to feel used, feel lived in, feel like it was almost like the center hub of this family, and that they spend a lot of time in here, because I imagine that they probably would. They are a very close-knit family. So as I said in my previous video, I will go ahead and talk more about the family in this video as I go through and decorate their individual bedrooms. But just as a refresher, there is a grandmother, her 2 adult children, their partners, and then their children, so the grandmother's grandchildren. So you will see a range of bedrooms in this one. There is a girls' room, there is a teen sim boys' room, and there are essentially 3 master bedrooms. So just quickly, what I am doing here is I did pull out some boxes from Dream Home Decorator, and I thought about cluttering up the top of the cabinets because this build does have the taller wall height. I just didn't think it looked good in the end, so I do decide not to use that. But I don't really use the taller wall height, so that was definitely something that I want to do more, because I actually like the way that it turned out. But it does kind of look awkward here in the kitchen with the cabinets not being to the ceiling, but I hope that that doesn't bother you guys too much. Anyway, I just used the Jungle Adventure stools as well. I use a lot of Jungle Adventure in this build, inside as well as outside, as you would have seen. I think the hardest thing for me in this entire build was finding curtains. Because I used the rounded windows, finding curtains was near impossible. So I do settle with these base game ones. I use them throughout the entire build because they are pretty much the only curtains, as well as the greenery ones from the Bloomin' Rooms kit. I do use that one quite a lot also, but the only curtains that I could find that sort of really matched those windows were those base game ones. Unfortunately, they don't come in a lot of swatches, so that was kind of disappointing, but I think that it turns out all right in the end. And yeah, hopefully we get some more sort of curtains that fit the arch style windows, because they are beautiful windows. It's just very difficult to use them when there's no curtains to match. So just finishing up the kitchen here, adding some plants, adding some details. I add some ceiling lights, and then I do move into one of the dining rooms. So this is the interior dining room, there is an exterior one as well, which I imagine would be probably the one that gets used the most. I feel like this would be like their, I guess, breakfast sort of style dining room, where they come together and they have breakfast in here, or the kids kind of sit in here. There is another one off the other side of the kitchen that I imagine would be the one they use the most or use for dinners. So in here we have the rounded Jungle Adventure dining table with the matching chairs in the blue swatch. I pop the armchair from Jungle Adventure in the same blue swatch in the corner, and then that side table is from the Oasis Courtyard kit. I feel like that is not what the pack is called, but it could be. Is that what it's called? I'm not sure, but I do use a lot of that kit in here as well. As you'll see, those floor lanterns are from that kit, and the wall lanterns that I do use in this build inside are from the Oasis kit as well. I think it paired really nicely with that sort of Mediterranean tropical sort of vibe I was going for. But this hutch here in the corner of the dining room is also from Jungle Adventure, and I do clutter that up with a couple of items. I think I add some books, I add the teapot from Cottage Living, I believe it's from Cottage Living, some tissues, just some items, some boxes and things like that. I really didn't know what to add in here, so just added some random items. I add a lot of plants in this build, as I said, so I kind of cover this whole entire place in plants. I think it's so beautiful. And those plants from, is it Nifty Knitting? The hanging plants from Nifty Knitting in that swatch with the teal green. It's absolutely beautiful. I love that color. I love the design of that whole plant item is just beautiful. I love it. So as you'll see here, just changing some lights. I do pop a couch or some seating area on the corner here just to make it feel full. And this is the exterior dining area. So it is not an enclosed room. It has a fence instead of walls, but I just think that it is beautiful. So this would be the main dining room in my opinion. There is a little fireplace out here. I don't clutter it up too much. I just add a chair. I think I add a little table in the corner there from the Bloomin' Rooms kit with a lamp on it. Do I add a lamp? I think I add a lamp. And I use the tall plant from the Oasis Courtyard kit as well in the corner, some pots from Debug, and then I do place some of those candles with the leaves on the table out here. And I pop the cats and dogs. No, I don't use the cats and dogs. I thought about using the cats and dogs. I use the one from Laundry Day, which is the 3 stacked rugs over the top of each other. So in the entryway, I tried to keep it very simple, but I did use this mirror here. I've never actually used it before, but I just think the style worked really well. I wish it was a little bit bigger, but I do look past that because I think that the style fit what I was going for. So I used the Blooming Rooms kit curtains in here, which are the vines. I think that it looked really nice. And then I do go in off camera and pull out a whole bunch of stuff from Debug. I was trying not to be too repetitive with the clutter and with the pots and things like that. I was trying to make it look interesting and new, so I tried to achieve that here. And then on this wall I pull out a whole bunch of photos and I stagger them together and make it look like almost like these are family portraits from their great grandparents, and it's just like a history of family portraits on the wall there. So I was really happy with that, how that turned out, and I think it looks really nice. So we pop a rug at the door here, and then we will be moving on into the, I guess it's a mud room area. So in the mud room I do just add a hutch, and I think that it's the one from Cats and Dogs. No, is that the Laundry Day one? I think it's the Laundry Day one. So just add a hutch in here and I clutter it up with a couple of things, and then I add some more plants in here. The Cats and Dogs rug. I use a lot of cats and dogs in this build. I didn't realize that until now going through it. So I do keep it really simple in here. I imagine this is probably where they take their shoes off and sort of clean up and stuff like that before they go back inside, because this does lead out into the courtyard. So I was thinking of adding some shoes on here, but I do swap it for this picnic basket that come from Seasons. And then off to the right of this room is the laundry room and half bath So it's just a toilet and a sink. This is the only one that I include in the footage because I didn't want you guys to have to sit through 5 bathrooms. What I end up doing for most of them is just copy and pasting it over anyway. So I do use the Jungle Adventure sink. I use just a normal base game toilet. I pop a mirror on the wall. I pop a washer and some laundry baskets in here because I do go ahead and add the clothesline outside. I didn't know where to add it originally, but I do add it out into the backyard. I don't know why I didn't add a dryer. I just didn't think that this family would be the type of family that would use a dryer. They live in Oasis Springs. They probably just have sun all the time round, so I just didn't think that it'd be necessary. If you do want to add it, you definitely can. You can remove the shelf above, which is the laundry day shelf, from above the washing machine, and add the dryer on there if you would like to use that in your game. But this here is the main living space, and I did struggle in here a little bit because I just wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I do use the couches from Jungle Adventure, and I do believe I place a TV in here. Originally I wasn't going to, but I think it is just a necessity to have, just for something to do for your Sims. So in the corner here I do have a bookcase, and I don't believe I place a chair there, but I don't think you really need to because there are lots of sitting spaces in here. But just clutter it up with some more plants, adding lots of little details into this living room. This living room is probably my least favorite room of the entire build. I am still happy with it. I think the colors look really nice together. I use a lot of like the blues and the oranges with like the muted yellow on the walls, and I think that it turns out really nice. But ultimately I think that it's probably my least favorite room, and I feel like that's also because the family that I imagine living here wouldn't spend a lot of time in here. I think this would be just sort of for like the kids to hang out in, and even then I don't think that they would be in here a lot. But I also just want to mention this fireplace. I absolutely love this fireplace. I think it is so beautiful. I use it here in the orange, and I use it 2 other times throughout the build. It's just absolutely beautiful. And I do also place some of those lanterns on the floor from the Oasis Courtyard kit. Is that what it's called? I'm getting so confused with the names of everything today, so I do apologize. But after we finish up the lounge room here, I do just quickly go ahead and furnish the hallway. This hallway space leads to an outdoor sitting area, and then also into the master bedroom on the first floor. So there is technically a second master upstairs, which you guys will see shortly, but this is the hallway leading into that area. So I just pop a little side table, mainly just with plants. I do think I was going to add a chair, and I think I pull it out, but the space was just an awkward space, and I wasn't really sure what to add in here. So just pop a photo on the wall, and yeah, I was going to add a chair, but I do believe that I cut that out and cut out the footage as well. So moving on into the master bedroom downstairs. So this bedroom, I imagine, would be for the grandmother, who is the matriarch of the family. So I believe that maybe her husband has passed, maybe I don't know what happened to him, but I do believe that it's just her living in this room. And so I go for a very sort of cozy vibes, lots of oranges and greens. I really liked using this bed because it had the orange pillows, and I think it matched really well with the wall color. So I do use a lot of the greens, the blues, the oranges in here. I pop a chair in the corner here. I have a dresser in the other corner. In here I put I think I use a little magazine rack, floor magazines as well, just to make it look like she might be doing some reading. But I pop this shelf up on the wall here, and I do clutter it up with just some pictures and some flowers and some little details. So I was struggling with what to put on this shelf originally, and I was struggling with actually getting things up on this shelf. So I do apologize for the camera angle. It does sort of jump around a little bit in this area, but I really liked using this basket at the end of the bed too, with the little cat cushion, because it was in orange. I used some stuff from Nifty Knitting just to sort of make it feel like grandma would live in here. So the grandmother, again, she's the matriarch of the family. She's sort of the leader of this family. I guess she kind of keeps everybody together, keeps everybody in line. I imagine she's probably, I wouldn't say strict, but she's very sort of, I don't know, she's maybe a perfectionist. She likes everybody to sort of, you know, be the best that they can be. I imagine she's probably very warm and loving also as well though, and that she's just adored by her family, but she does kind of push them to be the best versions of themselves that they can be. And maybe sometimes she struggles when things don't go her way, I guess. So I think that she just has an expectation of her family because that was the expectation that maybe her parents had of her. So I think she's a bit of a perfectionist. I think she likes things to be a certain way, but I do think that she's a very loving grandmother and she's very involved with her grandchildren's lives. So that's kind of the grandmother that I imagine would be living here. But again, you can use this in your game and place any family that you would like in this build. So out here, again, this is the little sort of courtyard. So I use these debug pots that I found and I put some plants in them. And then I was just thinking about making this just a normal sitting area with just some chairs because I didn't really know what to do here. But then I pulled out this fire pit and I decided to make this sort of like a fire pit sitting area. I don't know if this would be a fire hazard in your game considering it does have a roof over it and it is an enclosed room, but I hope it doesn't. I will play test it before I put it up on the gallery to make sure that this will work because I want it to work for you guys. I don't want to put up a build that's not working. But yeah, so I thought it looked really nice out here. I would love to come sit out here. It is semi-open, so it would be really nice to sit out there by the fire with the family and just sort of hang out and roast some marshmallows. So I think it's a cute little area. Just quickly furnishing all of the sort of walkways. In those walkways, I do keep it as simple as I possibly can. I place some of the lanterns from the Oasis Courtyard kit. I place a lot of the debug jungle adventure sort of relics on the walls and some flowers and plants, and I do use a little fountain. And then in this area here I place a garden planter pot and some chairs, and I also place an easel out here as well because I thought that would give your Sims something to do. And that's what I thought about adding the flower arranging table. So I do add that just outside that archway. You'll see me placing that now, and then I do go through and I find the archaeology table from Jungle Adventure and I place that over the other side because I wanted to add lots of activities for your Sims to do, and I think that that fit perfectly in this style of build. So I place that here with just some debug pots that are broken just to make it look like someone might have been extracting something there, like a relic. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. There's lots of activities for your Sims to do. I didn't want everything to just be sort of a basic sitting area. The front porch area is very basic though. It is just a chair with some lights. I didn't think that your Sims would spend a lot of time out there. This is the little fountain that I was talking about. So I do add some plants around it and a lantern. And yeah, I'm really happy with how the bottom floor turned out. And we will be moving upstairs now. So upstairs on the landing I do add a computer. I didn't want to add a computer in this build, but I thought that for gameplay purposes you kind of do need a computer for your Sims to be able to do pretty much anything. So do add that here. I am happy with how this sort of, I guess, little study nook turned out. So I add another bookcase, a guitar and a microphone, some more plants, another floor lamp, and yeah, I'm super happy with how it turned out. So it is a necessity, but I imagine that's probably where the kids would do their homework or things like that. So yeah, on the other side of the landing here, I do add a keyboard and I add a chair and just some sitting area, just because I felt like the family would be always maybe together listening to music, and this sort of overlooks the courtyard area, so maybe the family could be up here playing keyboard for the rest of the family sitting below. So really happy with how it turns out up here. It's super cozy and super detailed. Again, lots of plants, lots of yellow, lots of the warm brown tones. I think that I carry them throughout pretty much the whole build, and yeah, I'm super happy with it. So we will shortly now be moving on to the second master. So I call this the second master because it's the only other bedroom in the house that has an ensuite bathroom, and I imagine that this would be for the eldest son. So this would be for his wife and himself, and then over the other side connected to this room would be the room for his two daughters. So sorry, I said that very, very confusingly. With his room, I wanted to keep it very neutral with their room, I should say. So I do use some blues and oranges, but I do keep a lot of the extra details very basic and neutral. So I imagine for him, he's the next in line to take over the family. So he is probably a little bit more serious, a little bit more professional. I imagine he may be like a politician or something like that, sort of in a serious career, maybe even a lawyer or something like that. And I imagine his wife, she's probably a little bit more laid back. I think maybe she was a teacher before she retired or left to have the children, and now she's just a stay-at-home mum and she looks after the kids. Maybe she could go back to work. So if you do want to play with this storyline, you could have her on maternity leave and you could have her going back to work and be a working mum. But I imagine she probably has dedicated her life now to her children, and she's very heavily involved with them, loves to cook and garden and things like that. So I think that she would be now a stay-at-home mum, but she was previously an educator, and I just think that that would fit her sort of very well. I imagine her to be very warm and loving and just very heavily involved with the children and with the family as well. So I think that her mother-in-law, the grandmother of this family, would love her very much, and they would all get along and they'd just be a very happy family. So this is the, I guess, balcony area off of their bedroom. I wasn't originally sure what I wanted to do out here, so I do change my mind a little bit. What I end up placing out here is I keep the barbecue. So I keep the radio, I do change the layout of the couches, and then I place some plants and some candles on the railing around it. I just think that at night it looks really beautiful, and I'm super happy with how it turns out. So you'll see here that I do change the configuration of the couch. I just think it was a little bit too much. So I was originally trying to use it to cover the roofing because I struggled with the roofing in this one, but I figure it out in the end. I do change the coffee table out to be the one from Snowy Escape, and I place a little candle and some magazines on top with a drink tray so they have something to do out here. But again, it is really beautiful out here at night, and I think that as a couple they would probably just come out here and have some alone time. Maybe he would cook her some food and it would just be super romantic out there. But yeah, so this here is going to be their bedroom, their daughter's bedroom. So I imagine it to be a child sim and a toddler, both girls, both very girly, into pink, into cats, into rabbits, into animals, and just two adorable, sweet little children. I didn't think too much about their storyline in particular because a lot of the time with toddlers and child sims, it is sort of really hard to develop a proper, fully well-rounded storyline with them because they are so basic, I guess, in the game. I really am holding out for a Generations pack where we get an update to sort of children's sims activities and even toddlers activities, and just give them more stuff and give them things that they can do. And even teenagers, they do feel like sort of mini young adults. So I am holding out for Generations, and hopefully we get some extra things. I'd love for the teens to be able to go to prom and for school to be more involved, and for them to have like more after school activities, and the same with the child sims as well. So I know we do have scouts, I believe it is, but I just don't think that every child would want to be in scouts, and it'd be nice to have things like dance class and sports classes and things like that. So holding out for that. But yeah, anyway, in this room I do struggle, as you'll see. I wasn't sure with the layout how I wanted it to go, and originally I was trying very heavily to focus on a red and pink theme to separate the child sim from her toddler sister, but I end up kind of giving in and leaning a little bit more towards the pink because I just found a lot more items that sort of matched in the pink. But I do keep a lot of the red accents as well. with a lot of the little details. But I have a desk in here, I have a dollhouse, there is a bookcase, and on the bookcase there is the tablet for the toddler. There's a toddler potty in here. I don't add a toddler potty in any of the other bathrooms, but I know that's a little bit weird, but for gameplay purposes, when I've played for toddlers, it's always easier just to have the toddler potty in their room. So that's why I decided to do that. And you'll see that I changed the room color to pink. I was hoping to try and keep it neutral like the rest of the house, but it just wasn't working. So decided to change that over and keep the sort of pink theme going. So that's what I did in there. Moving on here, this is going to be the the daughter's bedroom with her husband. So the grandmother's daughter and her husband share this bedroom here. It is very red and green. The colors, I think, complement each other really well, and I think that I kind of go a little bit overboard with the plants in this room, but that is because I imagine that the daughter sim here is probably a gardener, I think, or maybe she does flower arranging. I don't know, she does something with plants. She loves plants, she loves flowers. So I kind of go a little bit plant heavy in here. I think the green bed kind of really set me down that path. So I am super happy with how it turns out, but just be warned, there is a lot of plants in here. The side tables for the bed I use are the ones from the Bloomin' Rooms kit. And as you can see, I'm pulling out a whole heap of plants from the Bloomin' Rooms kit. I think it's a fantastic kit. I wasn't really a fan of the kits when they first come out, and I'm not a fan of a lot of the fashion item ones, but I guess that's because when it comes to my own personal gameplay, I do use custom content clothing and hairs and things like that, just because I feel like they look nicer. So I haven't personally purchased any of the clothing kits, but the build item kits I have definitely purchased, and this one, the Bloomin' Rooms kit, is probably my favorite. And if I were to recommend any kit in the game, it would be that one. So all of these plants in here are from either Jungle Adventure, from the Bloomin' Rooms kit, or they're also from base game as well. I do use some base game plants, so I did just talk over that room there, but as I said, I imagine that the daughter is probably a gardener or a florist, or if she does flower arranging, and I imagine that her husband probably works in conservation or something like that. And this room here is their teen son's room. So this room is a little bit different from the rest of the build, and that's because I imagine that this poor boy is a little bit of the black sheep of the family. So I imagine he is into DJing and music and video games, and he would just like to be in his room, and you know, he's sort of maybe a little bit of a moody teen, and he just wants to be alone, I guess, in his room, in his little space. So I do try and emulate that through what I pick for him. So in here there is a TV, there is a games console, there is a computer, there's a lot of technology in here. I do manage to also fit a DJ booth in his room, and I go for this very black and sort of teal blue color scheme in here. I'm really happy with how it turned out. The room layout is, I guess, a little bit of a weird shape with his bed being where it is, but I think it turns out okay. I think it would be sort of true to a teenage boy. Sort of maybe he's gone in and moved his room around and just made it the way he's wanted it because he wanted to fit his DJ booth in. So you'll see that I tried to change the bed, but it didn't work. But we are going to be moving into screenshots now, so I do just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. If you do want to download this build, it will be up on the gallery. My origin ID is arcadefox. Follow me over on Instagram at arcadefox with an underscore at the end to get updates, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye guys.